Hey, this is Brian at IMG BAT, also known as ImageBat. I'm here at the shop, and I mentioned in a previous reel that I had an investment and that it was coming soon. Well, here it is. This is an unboxing of the Helix. Now, I don't know if you know what this is, but this is a device that is on a professional grade, and it allows for very, very good permanent jewelry welds. So I already had a permanent jewelry welder, but this one is top of the line, and it has an argon connection, which as somebody who's been a welder before, like an actual TIG and MIG welder, I know that these welds are better when you actually have an inert gas to keep the oxygen away, which keeps oxidation away, which makes your weld stronger and solid. So that's what this machine is. I'm going to be right back and cut it open and see all the components. Okay, so I'm back. Here we go. Got myself a little trusty box opener. Always better to cut away from you when possible. As long as there's not somebody else on the other side there that you'll be slashing towards, better to cut away from yourself. And here we go. Try not to block the camera here. Is this going to cooperate with me? Look what we have. So here, have one box. And it looks like we have another box in here. Turn it upside down and get it out. There we go. All right, so we've got two boxes. Let's see what's in them. Okay, we've got, looks like it's well protected. The nice styrofoam casing. Looks like we have the main unit here. So yeah, this is the main unit. And this is the actual piece that's going to do the welds. And then there are some electrodes that you stick into there. And if you look on the back, you have a power switch, you have your insert for your argon gas, and then you have this switch here, which is your power, it looks like. No, this is, yeah, you've got your power here, and I'm not sure what this is, but we'll look into it. Probably for a different device that we don't have. Like they have different connectors, like they have a visor that you can look through, and they have other attachments. So this is probably for your other attachments. All right, let's move on to the next box. Oh, actually some other stuff in here. So we've got, yeah, so you've got your clips, which hold your pieces here, and you know, you clip onto your piece so it has a ground, and these plug into the back. So we'll get to that here in a second. Let's go to the second box because I'm very curious what's in here. Didn't think there were any other components. Sure enough, there's another box. So in here, we've got some instructions, user guide, always helpful. Even give you some starter glasses, which we already have, but you can never have too many. And these are probably a number 5 or higher shading, which is necessary to protect your eyes when you're doing this kind of an operation. What else do we have here? Another box. Okay, we've got the power cord here. Stick that over there with that box. We have a stand for our stylus. So this stylus goes right in there. That's for stability. You can also use it just to hold it there, but you can also use it to steady a weld if you were going to do that. You weren't going to do it by hand. Then we have some jewelry cleaner and a little brush. So once you make your weld, you can spray a little bit of this on there and kind of rub out any surface oxidation, which doesn't affect the weld at all, but can happen when you're doing these kind of welds. I've got tubing, and that tube is going to connect the argon gas. I have a fiberglass. Here, I'll just open it up. There's a fiberglass brush here, and this thing here, which if you turn it, I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but if you turn it, there are some fiberglass bristles there, and those bristles can also be used to brush off any surface oxidation. And we have ourselves a nice cloth, which could be used for wiping things down, possibly could also be used to cover one's arm or wherever place you're doing the weld. You can stick this between the person's skin and the actual weld just for extra protection. This probably serves well for either of those things. And I believe that's it. So, still have one more box. This is also part of the power cord, so it's in 2 pieces. So we've got the power cord here. Open it. That's the power cord. We've got our nice Helix stand, which looks like anodized aluminum probably. We've got the glasses. We've got the user guide. We've got the actual base machine here. We've got the stylus. The stylus goes in there. We've got the clips to be able to connect our pieces. And we've got our spray cleaner. So that's what you get with the basic, and you get the, again, the fiberglass cleaner. So that's what you get with a base model of the Helix with no extra attachments or anything, which are available. And I'll get back to you with what it looks like once you hook up the gas, and maybe we'll try a weld. All right, so I spared you the time of watching me cut through all kinds of bubble wrap that I have on the side there. And now I'm at the stage where I just opened up my regulator. This regulator, which I bought from Pepetools, and I also bought this, the Helix here from Pepetools, is important. So you can get these regulators anywhere, and you can also get them online, but beware. So argon gas is inert, so it's not going to explode and catch fire in that sense. But if you don't get a quality regulator, what can happen is your gas can leak. And let me tell you, I just bought a tank of argon here. And this is the tank I bought. This is a 40. A 20 is a smaller one. This is a 40 in terms of how much compressed argon is in there. And you can rent the tanks for $1 a day, or you can buy the tanks outright for, I don't know, $150 or something like that. But when you buy it, you don't have to rent it anymore. And if you're going to use this tank for a long time, which I plan to, if you had it for 6 months before you did a refill, that's $180 that you're paying just for the tank itself. Then you got to pay another 76 or so dollars to fill a tank of this size. So it adds up a lot over time. But if you buy the tank once, all you have to do is refill the gas for 75 bucks. This is going to last me, I'm sure, a long time, easily a year, easily 6 months, but I'm thinking a year or more if you don't, if it doesn't leak. And I'm going to talk about how to make sure it doesn't leak here in a little bit. But I use propane for my Smith Little torch, and I have just one of those propane tanks. It's the size of the one you put on your grill. I can't remember how many pounds that is, but just an average size propane tank, and that has lasted me the better part of 3 years. And I do more than a little bit of soldering, so I'm thinking that the little puffs of air that this little puffs of argon that come out with each little weld is going to last me for quite a while. Now, I might put this thing to double duty and use the argon tank and get back into some TIG welding, bigger TIG welding, but we'll see. I think I might hold off on that and make sure I can stretch this out as long as I can, given the cost. But we'll see. Anyway, I'll be back with more. Oh, this is the tube. The tube connects to this piece here. And then this piece connects to the actual tank. So I'll be back with some more on that. Okay, so now we're looking at the argon tank. Again, like I said, it's inert, non-flammable gas. It doesn't mean that these contents under pressure can't explode. You can puncture this highly compressed gas. You could knock the top off or something like that and create basically a missile. So you got to be real careful with these tanks, and no matter what kind of gas in it. It just so happens that if it's flammable, in addition to the projectile you created, you now have a flaming projectile. So there's instructions on there, warnings. Pay close attention to those. Again, I get my gases from Air Gas. It's convenient for me because it's relatively close. Pepetools actually sells a canister that's full for a reasonable price, but it's comparable. So I figured I would get the bigger tank and own the tank and just continue my relationship with Air Gas. But who knows? In the future, I might go Pepetools. Anyway, for the gas. Anyway, you're going to be hooking this. Let me zoom out. I'm new at this. You're going to be hooking this piece, this part of it, into there. And you need an airtight fit. So my recommendation is that when you get your tank, whether you get it from your local air supply or gas supplier or from Pepetools, is you clean this area out. You don't want any debris in there that could, when you screw in that piece, let air through. You want it to be very tight. And you don't want any gas to be able to leak through. So part of making sure that happens is to clean this inside portion. You want to make sure that this is clean as well. And what I recommend, although I'm not doing it today because I'm going to unscrew everything and do it again when I do my final setup, is to put plumber's tape around these threads just to give it some extra protection from leakage. If you leave this plugged into there checking for the leak and making sure it doesn't leak is extremely important. Now I'm going to be pulling this out. So again, this time around, I will not be using the plumber's tape, but tomorrow I will be bringing some plumber's tape from home and we'll be using it constantly. Now, when you hook this thing in, you got these gauges here. And one of the gauges, this one, tells you how much uh, gas is in the tank, like your total amount of gas. This meter here tells you how much pressure you're using. And that's important because when you're doing the welds, you don't want to have too much gas blowing through the stylus or it might blow out your weld. You don't want to have too little or you won't have enough gas to shield the oxygen and you'll get oxidation inside the weld, which you don't want. So the settings of where this goes is pretty important. From what I've heard people saying, a good setting is somewhere between 7 and 10. You dial in for what you need for your average permanent jewelry weld. Now, once you start using it for bigger welds, that gas level, pressure level may vary. But that's what I know so far. Once I know more from practice, I'll be able to tell you more. But can't tell you what I don't know. So on to the next part. All right, so I'm going to attempt to do this with the camera, though we'll see how that goes. Another thing is when you're actually putting this piece in, you want to have the gauges turned where you ultimately want them. Now, since I'll be looking down at this tank and the tank will be on the ground, I want these gauges pointing relatively upward. And it also just gives me better access to turning the black nozzles that you see. So I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see if you have trouble getting the actual piece in there, start by turning it backwards a little bit until it clicks into place and then just work it forward. You can do a little jiggling to make sure that it's as tight as it can get. So you do a kind of a fast jiggle like this as you're trying to turn the valve. And once you can't do it anymore, technically you could get and probably should get some pliers and then just give it a little bitty bump with the pliers. But for this exercise here, I'm just hand tightening, and I've got pretty strong hands. I've done some pretty heavy work with these hands, and although getting old makes them weaker, they started off pretty strong. So my turn is pretty tight. You may need to make sure you have, again, some pliers to just give it a little bump. You're not trying to tighten it to the point where it cracks or anything like that. A little tighten with your pliers should be enough to prevent any leakage. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to open this valve, and this valve is closed. So the air is going to be released from here and get this far. And we'll get probably at that point a reading for how full the tank is. Then in a minute, I will pause the video, hook this end up. Maybe I won't pause the video. Maybe I'll just do it live. And hook the bottom end of that tubing into my Helix. And then we'll be almost ready to go. So one test that you can do to make sure you're not leaking is take some soapy water, and once you turn on open the valve here, you run some soapy water there and you look for bubbles. If you see any bubbles that come up, you know that you have a leak, and you're going to need to do something. You need to put some plumber's tape on those threads. Maybe your threads are not on the right way, like a misthreading. So just take it off, try again, dry everything off, try again, and you'll eventually get it. So we'll do the soap test just to check. Okay, I'm running out of hands here, but we have our soap, which we're gonna spray on there. A little soapy water going. Okay. We're going to open the valve. Oh, we've got leakage. So that's a sign that definitely has to get tighter. So I probably do need to use some pliers or a wrench to get a tighter fit. So I'll have to get those on hand and we'll come back to the video. So after that first attempt, and I think it's important to leave this portion in because even somebody who's used tanks for a long time can not screw something on tight enough and have to do it again. So as a result, I'm going to have to come back tomorrow. So I'll be dressed different. Hopefully I've got clothes at home, but I'll be dressed differently. And I'll bring in the tools that I need, which is, having a wrench and having some plumber's tape. And we will return to this unboxing. Okay, it's the next day, and I have the crucial pieces of equipment that are needed. So, and I went on ahead and fixed up the tank. So I had my wrench, I had my plumber's tape, and I used that, if you can see it, to secure my argon gas. I did a test, and the test came out good. There's no leakage. I'm good to go. So I'm going to start here with a ring that I'm working on that needs to be joined. I was going to say soldered, but we're not soldering. We are instead going to fuse together both ends of the silver. And I've already kind of played around with the settings and dialed it into where I need it. I also have done a piece of the welding process on this ring, and I've just got a couple of spots left. Notice I have my number 5 shades on over my glasses. It probably looks ridiculous, but this is what's needed to protect oneself. So this is kind of what I got going. And I will bring the piece up to the machine. Oh, I've got a clip on. I need my power source, or I need my ground. Ground is crucial to be able to get the weld to work. There's one. Do one more. There's another one. Do one more on the end. I can see it. That was a bad one. Line it up and do it again. There we go. And that's it. Take my fiberglass brush, kind of brush off the surface. And then, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if it's going to focus or not, but it's joined, not coming apart. I will file this down and it will be ready for the client. So there you have it. That is the Helix pulse arc welder permanent jewelry machine. This will be so much easier with smaller chain welds that will be put on permanent jewelry. The clients that I've had, I'll take these off. The clients that I've had that I've done permanent jewelry with, I was using a much more rudimentary method, although it works. But now we have top of the line technology at our fingertips, together with the argon gas, which makes the welds really clean. And here we go. Again, Helix permanent jewelry welder is what it's called. I got it at Pepetools. and it came with the machine, the stylus, the ground, the tube for the argon gas, and then I independently bought my own argon tank. If you're going to do this, just a reminder, make sure you use your plumber's tape so that when you screw it in, it's airtight. And my claims yesterday that my hand tightening, I've got strong hands, all that may be true, but the grade of tightening necessary to get that tight requires other tools. With that, thank you very much. I will have future videos as I probe this further and see what the limits are for this machine, but it's going to allow me not only to be able to do repairs, but it's going to allow me to do welds in places that you just can't go with fire and solder. So that's going to make some interesting, it's going to make for some interesting new types of pieces. So thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.